Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later because we're back for another masterpiece recolor today, and it's MPG-10 Lift Ticket. Bit of a strange name, but it's a gorgeous toy, and this is thanks to the fine folks at Hobby Genkai, a Japanese collectibles store with tons of robots in disguise in stock and some amazing prices. Link in the description below. We'll kick off today, we're talking about that really rather gorgeous vehicle mode, which looks quite different to the original Hoist use of this mold, not just because of that fantastic colour scheme, but also some quite impressive retooling. And I'm sure many of you will know that this is, of course, based on the original Diaclone toy that became Hoist, which was released in red and blue as well, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we get that colour scheme further down the line, but for today this is one that I'm really pleased to see, because Lift Ticket has been a thing in Transformers before. The name comes from a G.I. Joe character, and I kind of feel like this lives up to its potential, actually. I mean, it's definitely eye-catching with this kind of hazard detailing and the wrecker sign along the side. That all looks fantastic, and I love this glossy red finish that you can see on areas such as the bonnet. That just catches the light beautifully. Sadly, that's not entirely uniform. You can see there are some unpainted sections, such as on the roof just here, and some of the panels don't quite line up in terms of colour matching, but overall it's a really striking deco, and I think this choice of kind of burnt orange yellow on the back there looks really good with it, to say nothing of this really lovely dark blue for the windshield as well. That is really fab. It's got all the kind of blinging chrome at the front just there, no rubber tyres or anything, which again is a little bit of a shame, but it is what it is on these masterpiece toys, I think. It is also a licensed vehicle form, as evidenced by the prominent Toyota logo at the back here, so that looks really cool. It kind of looks like die-cast, these pieces, even though it's not, thanks to the paint. And there's even some nice silver paint on some areas, such as on the wheels, so they look quite premium, even though it's not actually chrome or anything like that. Equally true on like the door handles and things, it's all really nicely applied. I mean, I have to say, I feel like when it comes to a straight up comparison between this and the original Hoist version of the mold, I kind of prefer this, actually. Like, I feel like some of the details and the retooling just adds a bit of weight to it and kind of makes it the preferred option. I mean, for starters, I much prefer these kind of complete doors with the proper windows and everything versus this sort of open look just there, if only because it kind of reveals some of the messiness going on inside on Hoist, and I think that looks much nicer, personally. I also prefer the blue windscreen versus this clear version. I just think it pops a little bit more, you know? Secondly, I definitely prefer the wrecker hazard detailing on the side compared to what we get on Hoist. I do like this, and that's, you know, very cartoony and everything, but I just think this is so much more eye-catching. You also get some additional hazard detailing on this little back section just there, which I think does kind of stand out a little bit versus the original, and I can't help but prefer these little wings, for want of a better word. Just again, a little bit more molded detail on them versus this sort of very plain looking rectangle going on here, and you get the little lights on top as well, so add it all up and it kind of makes a bit of a difference visually. The little tow truck part on the back of each of them is different too. I mean, the original on Hoist is quite tidy, whereas on Lift Ticket, you know, it's much larger. I mean, to be fair, this one does work quite well. It just sort of hitches underneath the bumper and it does pull along quite nicely. By comparison, on Lift Ticket, it's actually the front wheels that just kind of sit on these little bits just there, and that works equally well. I guess what I would say is that I'm just really impressed they went to such lengths to kind of retool this thing and add in a few more kind of toyetic touches to make it feel different to Hoist, you know? Oh, and before anybody comments, no, I haven't forgotten to take out Hoist's little wing mirrors. They are in there, but you try getting them out of there. Honestly, total nightmare. As with Hoist, I do find that some of the panels have like that little bit of squish to them, right? Like, it's also compact inside in terms of the transformation that it doesn't sit quite flush for my liking. Like, you can also see that slightly along here on top of the bonnet, and it's not for lack of trying, but it just kind of won't stick down properly. But as with Hoist, you can open that up. You just want to click the front grille down first of all, and then that enables you to get in. And there's some really lovely engine molding going on in there. Just a touch of silver paint too. Could have maybe done with a little bit more, but it's fine. Interestingly, there is also the option to kind of open the doors a little bit, and you can then sort of plug one of the human minifigures in there as well, but it's a wee bit of a fiddle, and they don't really sit very neatly in there. There's not really like a seat, there's just this sort of weird block platform for them to kind of plonk on top of. And I don't know, it's all a little bit fiddly. It's not really a feature I'd recommend, to be honest. So yeah, overall, a really stunning looking car mode. I was always a big fan of the Hoist design, and in particular the red one. I don't have the original Diaclone, so this is a true treat to see, and it just looks fabulous, and it does roll really nicely as well, so pretty good in my opinion. And you know, a bit like the MPG-11 Black black ironhide or DK2 guard or whatever that we looked at just the other week, I kind of feel like this is a deco that could easily not have happened. I mean, I'm just too much of a fan of these Diaclone Masterpiece redecos, so a bit like Rigorous, the yellow Trailbreaker, I'm just so pleased that they've actually done it. I don't know if they'll do the blue one, I hope they do, I'd be into that as well, but time will tell, I guess. I mean, I know it may not be as immediately striking as something like a Lamborghini or a Corvette, but I still absolutely love tow trucks and that kind of stuff, so this to me is just perfection. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it with Transformation, but before we do, I should mention that this video is brought to you by the wonderful Hobby Genki, who are a collectibles store based in Osaka, Japan, but they ship worldwide and they've got some amazing prices on robots in disguise, and they've got tons of low-cost, good-quality shipping options, so you will find some affiliate links in the description below, and I wholeheartedly recommend that you go and give them a look. But anyway, it's time for us to move on, so let's go ahead and check out Transformation. Right, that's Transformation done, and I gotta say it's not too bad now that I know what I'm doing with this after several versions of this mold, but there is still definitely a bit of fiddliness to it. Like, most of that is related to these shoulder pieces and the way the various panels kind of unfurl and fold around and click into place, and once you know what you're doing with it, it's really fine, but it can get kind of confusing if you're not sure. And I'm still not a major fan of the way some bits don't really have like a definitive place to kind of click in, like these back panels just kind of move around, and there's a lot of hollowness in the kind of top of the shoulders just there, so it does feel a little bit unsatisfying. Equally, the main bulk of the chest just here feels a little bit hollow. You've just got the doors kind of stuck in there a little bit, but you can see some gaps going on, so it looks really nice, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't feel that solid. Not to mention the wings just kind of move around a little bit. I kind of wish that they had like a definitive click into place. I felt that was missing on Hoist as well, so I don't know, there's just a lot of moving parts. You know, even this back section doesn't really clip in or anything like that, and it's not like it falls out of place or anything, but it just feels that tiny little bit unfinished because of it. All that said, whilst handling him, yes, is a little bit of a process, I gotta tell you that I think the looks of this guy kind of make up for it, because honestly, it's just gorgeous. And again, I think really blows the original Hoist version of this mold out of the water. That red, everything, it's just so striking. Like, for starters, that is a banging head sculpt. Now, it's modeled after the original Hoist toy, of course, or the Diaclone version at least, and it just looks wicked. Like, love the details on it, dramatically prefer it to the kind of cartoony version. Lovely finish going on again, nice silver on areas such as the arms. And again, you know, on the legs, I really love this kind of two-tone silver and black going on. Now, like the black ironhide, of course, there's no Autobot logo here on account of this being a Diaclone homage, but in this case, I really don't think it's missing at all, because that bonnet just looks so nice. And it's funny, because I do like Masterpiece Hoist, but I gotta tell you, when I first got it, I kind of transformed it, and I was like, yep, that's Hoist, but it didn't blow me away. Whereas actually Lift Ticket, I think the additional details and the different colour, it's just really won me over in hand. Even though it is still the same inherent mold and it has all of that fiddliness, it's just so nice to look at. I mean, that is one thing I do admire about Masterpiece and MPG, is the extent to which Takara Tomy go with the retooling and the kind of reshaping these toys. It just all adds up to a very different experience in some ways. But you know, none of that is to suggest that the mold isn't without its quirks, and you see some of that in the articulation. I mean, first of all, the head goes from side to side quite nicely, can look up, not really down at all. But man, where to begin with these arms, right? Now, there are several joints in the shoulders, so you can actually move up a little bit just there with that kind of wiggle. I think that's sort of more thanks to Transformation than anything. And then there is a second joint just there, which has actually got a little bit of a ratchet in it. And you can move the shoulders back and forth, but This joint kind of goes with it as well, so that is very fiddly, not going to lie. It's quite a sort of frustrating process moving these arms, especially as these back panels also move. You've then kind of got double jointed elbows in that there's an elbow joint just here which will go to about 90 degrees, and there's a second joint just up there which is technically for transformation. So do you count that? Because if you bend it there by itself, it looks really strange, like it's halfway up the arm, so really strange choice. But you do have a bicep swivel as well. And the wrist has got loads of articulation. I mean, it's got a swivel, it's got a little rocker as well, and the fingers are articulated, and they're on two separate pieces, one for the last three, and then one for the sort of individual digit just there. There's two joints on each finger, and the thumb does move, but they've got this kind of weird, kind of crooked thumb thing going on that Masterpiece seems to love so much at the moment. I don't really kind of understand it, because it sort of makes the thumb quite hard to pose, and it looks a bit weird as a fist as well, but it's what they're going with, I guess. Now, because of the way everything's tabbed in, there's no waist swivel of any kind, but there is decent movement at the hips, but it's so strange, because there's a joint just there, kind of in the leg itself, and the way that lifts up, it just looks so awkward to me. I cannot find a way to pose it where that just looks natural, you know? It's just really strange choice. I kind of get why they've done it, because it's underneath the bonnet then, but I just can't really make sense of it. And I mean, it will swivel as well, but what are we doing here, you know? There's then a very clicky little ratchet joint in the knee, which is really nice, and that actually goes quite far back as well, like well past 90 degrees, so that's cool. You also get a little rocker just there, which is technically for transformation, and there is an ankle tilt as well to about 45 degrees, so that's all good. And yeah, overall, it's just a really odd toy to pose. Like, in theory, it is quite poseable. It's got a lot of joints, a lot of movement, but it sort of doesn't have enough in some places and too much in others, and some of it is really weirdly located. So I do struggle to get him into like a decent looking, natural feeling pose, you know? It's so odd. That's not to say it can't be done though, it just takes a little bit of effort, and because it's so fiddly, you know, there's a lot of things to kind of consider, because those back panels and everything kind of move out of place. You just kind of got to watch what you're doing at all times, and still, you know what, he's fun to mess with all the same, just a bit fiddly. Now in terms of accessories, there's some options with the hands, but it's quite funny because first of all, they kind of pull out on this little extendable arm thing. I mean, he'd be bloody handy trying to get stuff off the top shelf of the supermarket, right? Anyway, with that extended, you can then remove the hand entirely like a completely separate piece, and then that enables you to bring in two separate accessories that just kind of plug in its place, including this nice kind of chrome blaster. Now it does actually come with two of these, so you could technically have one on either hand, although that might look a little bit strange, but it's a nice alternative to Hoist's flat plastic arm, and a completely different mold as well, by the way, so I really think they've done a great job with it, and the chrome looks gorgeous. Alternatively, you have this equally attractive double-barreled option, which is a bit shorter, but it's a real callback to the original toy, and I really love how this looks. Just very striking. Now again, you do get two of these attachments in the box, or you've also got this little yellow thing that kind of sticks on the end, and that can go on either weapon, the longer one as well, and kind of like a little hypno thing, I guess. Alternatively, that will also attach on his kind of backpack piece just there, kind of in the center, or on any of the three notches just there. I don't know, it's a little bit of fun, I guess. I don't know how often I'll be using that. I think it might just stay in the box, that one. And last but not least, much like the black Ironhide, there are some optional stickers, although in this case, they do go on the toy itself in robot mode to kind of add a little bit more color if you want to kind of spice him up a little bit. I don't know that I'll be doing that because I'm not a big fan of applying stickers to Masterpiece toys, but it's an option, and you've even got some Autobot logos in there as well, should you wish. I think one thing that definitely puts me off is that they're supposed to be applied to kind of like bumpy molded sections like here, and I just don't see how that's going to work and look good, to be honest. Like one of the decals is supposed to go here on this little raised bump just there, and how's that going to work? I don't know, it was a bit the same with MP44S, you know, the toy-styled convoy for me, in that it came with decals and that just really put me off, and I do really like the inherent look of the figure, but I think if you want to do this toy-style Masterpiece thing, just do them as tampos, honestly. Like, nobody wants stickers on these things. Nobody. Like, there's an inherent charm with stickers, with classic vintage G1 toys, but not with Masterpiece, sorry. Anyway, look, far be it for me to complain too much, because I am really pro this release overall, and I do like that they're back on this Diaclone repaint train. You know, we just looked at the black Ironhide, the DK2 Guard just the other week, and these two make a really nice pair. I hope that they continue to do these kind of repaints in the future in MPG, even though there are not actually that many left. And to be honest, I do even wonder if we'll get them all, because whilst we've still got a blue version of the Hoist and Lift Ticket mold to go, we've also got a blue version of Rigorous to be done, because there was a Diaclone blue Trailbreaker. And are they going to do both of those? I don't know. It seems a little bit strange. If so, that might be a bit of a clash of interests. I hope they do though, because I have to say, I think these Diaclone repaints have become probably my favourite part of Masterpiece overall. Like, I absolutely love everything they've done so far. Just so striking, and always nice to see Takara Tomy paying reverence to their past, you know? And these are just wonderful. And it does all mean that whilst, yes, there are some inherent quirks left over from this being the Hoist mold, and I can't ignore any of that, it's definitely my preferred version overall. I just think it looks so good that even if it is a bit fiddly to handle, it cannot be anything other than a toot. Now, once again, this review is brought to you by Hobby Genkai, a Japanese collectibles store with some amazing prices. Check the description below for an affiliate link and go and get yourself a bargain. I'd also be very grateful if you could drop me a like for today's effort, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But otherwise, that's it from me. So have a great rest of your day, and TTFN.